Enter Naruto. Exit Minato. A 12-year-old Minato stood on a water tower looking upon the Hokage monument. The three faces their Iya represented the will of fire perfectly in their own way. The Shodaime Hokage, Hashirama Senju. He was the co-founder of the entire hidden village system along with his best friend, yet worst enemy, Madara Uchiha. The Nidaime Hokage Tobirama Senju, Hashirama's younger brother. Tobirama was the one who made the rules and founded the Chunin exams, while Hashirama founded the village. Tobirama is the one who ensured that the village could run day-to-day operations. Then there was Hiruzen Sarutobi, Sandaime-sama, the current Hokage. He was the one who had the hat the longest, serving since the middle of the Second Shinobi World War and keeping it to this day. Minato smiled. One day his face would be up there, with the greatest shinobi his village had ever known. 12 years later. Minato Namikaze stood above his wife, a gleaming claw the size of a man touching the woman's back. Under her was a small child with cerulean blue eyes, though there was a strange 6-ring pattern in them. The baby looked at his mother and smiled a toothless grin. His whisker marks 3 on each cheek looked like extra smiles. The woman smiled as she felt the claw slowly embed itself in her back. Tears fell onto the baby's blanket as she smiled at him. "Naruto, my son, I love you," she said as the claw finally tore through her body. There was a flash of white just as the claw tore into the ground. A young man with spiky white hair wearing a black uniform and mask that covered his entire body and half his face was holding Naruto a few feet away. The man turned and saw Minato, his teacher and father figure, standing there with a large claw through his stomach and his wife Kushina Uzumaki under him, pinned to the floor by the very same claw. "Son-sensei," Kakashi muttered. "Kakashi, bring Naruto here," Minato said, a smile on his face as he saw his student holding his son. "Listen, I'm going to seal the QB into Naruto. It'll cost my life, but he'll be the hero of the village." Minato spun a few hand seals and shouted, "Sealing Jutsu, Reaper Death Seal." A large, spectral entity appeared behind Minato from a complex seal matrix. "State my duty," the creature said. Its voice carried a deep echo, but each voice was different. "Reaper, I will give you my soul if you seal the QB within my son, Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki," Minato said. The Reaper looked Minato over a few times. "Your soul alone does not suffice." Take mine too," Kushina said weakly from her spot on the ground. The Reaper looked at her once and nodded. "It will be done. I will place the beast within Naruto, but it is up to you to ensure he stays there." The Reaper put a hand on the talon, and the entire mountain-sized fox became an orange orb the size of a softball. Minato began spinning hand signs at a rapid pace, an insanely complex seal matrix, one that made the Reaper's seal seem like a child's doodle formed in front of him as he did so. As the Reaper brought his hand to touch Naruto, Minato winced, hoping it wasn't a bad idea. The orange orb entered Naruto's stomach. "Seal," Minato shouted with everything he had left, placing a hand on his son's stomach and leaving a spiral design with 2 4-pronged sealing matrices. "Naruto, don't be picky. Eat lots and grow strong. Make sure that you bathe every day and stay warm. Also, don't stay up late. You need lots of sleep. And make friends. You don't need a lot, just a few. Ones you can really, really trust. No alcohol until you're an adult. Too much can ruin your health, so drink in moderation. Remember that everyone has strengths and weaknesses, so don't get too depressed if you can't do something well. I'm a woman, so I don't know too much about this, but just don't get hooked on bad women. Find someone just like me. Be true to yourself. Have a dream and have the confidence to make that dream come true." Kushina cried, "There's so much. Oh, there's so much more that I want to pass on to you. I wish I could stay longer. I love you," the woman said as the Reaper began to take her soul away. "Naruto, I believe in you. You'll be a great man someday." Minato smiled sadly as he felt the Reaper suck at his soul as well. "Remember, son, I love you." Minato then reached over and ruffled Kakashi's hair. "You too, Kakashi. I'm proud of you." Minato smiled as the Reaper took the last bit of his soul. "Naruto, I promise you." Kakashi looked at the baby he held in his arms, tears forming in his one visible eye as the little guy reached towards his face and giggled, "I'll make sure you become the best man possible." 12 years later. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki had just graduated from the Shinobi Academy of Konoha. He was standing on the very same water tower that Minato had stood on 24 years ago. He looked at the Hokage monument's four faces. Hashirama Senju, the man who made the villages a thing. Tobarama Senju, the man who created a near innumerable amount of jutsu and ensured that the village could run. Then there was Hiruzen Sarutobi, the current Hokage and one of Naruto's precious people. Finally, there was Minato Namikaze, his father and the man who sealed the Kyuubi inside of him. While Naruto held no ill will towards his father, it was for the sake of the village. He had no familial feelings towards the man. How could you? No, in Naruto's eyes, his father was Kakashi Hatake, the man who had raised him to be the person he was today. Hey Naruto. He turned and saw his best friend, Ino Yamanaka, standing at the base of the tower. You coming? We're going to barbecue to celebrate. Naruto smirked and jumped down. Let's go. He smiled as he remembered meeting Ino for the first time. Flashback start. A 6-year-old Naruto fidgeted nervously as Kakashi walked him to the academy for his first day. He wanted to make a good impression. What if he messed up Kakashi's image as the Leaf's strongest? What if he sullied the Namikaze name? What if he made everyone laugh at him? Naruto, don't worry so much, Kakashi said as he walked his charge ever closer towards the looming blue sign that signified the entrance to the academy. Hey bro, can I just learn to be a ninja from you? Naruto asked with the best puppy dog face he could manage. Kakashi waved him off with a laugh. Mama, don't worry so much. No one's gonna be mean to you, and you won't have to fight anybody until next year. Naruto pouted. I'm not afraid of fighting. I could beat up everybody all at once. The blonde huffed. I just don't want to be stuck with a bunch of wimps. Overconfidence isn't a good thing, Naruto. Having friends is always a good thing. Remember your mom's letter? Kakashi said. Truthfully, Kushina hadn't written the letter. It had been Kakashi using his Sharingan to memorize her speech and copy her handwriting. Yeah, I don't need a lot of friends, only a few. But I've got to trust him lots and lots, Naruto said. His mother's letter always made him smile. It was like he could feel her love around him whenever he heard its words. So go make some friends. I'll see you tonight. Kakashi patted him on the back and he ran forwards. Yahoo! Watch out. Here comes Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki Databeo, he shouted as he ran onto the yard. Kakashi looked at the sky. Minato Sensei, you'd be proud. Naruto ran into the play yard and saw his new class. There was a black-haired boy in blue sitting alone in the corner, reading a book. There was a pink-haired girl in red playing in the flowers with a blonde girl wearing purple. Then there was a dirty-looking kid in a jacket who was playing on the obstacle course they had. There was a girl with short lavender hair, standing by herself and fiddling her fingers. Finally, he saw a bored-looking kid with a pineapple-style haircut staring at the sky, with a chubby kid sitting next to him eating a bag of chips. Naruto walked up to the duo of boys first. Hi, I'm Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki, he said, holding out his hand. Shikamaru Nara. The pineapple-headed boy waved lazily with 2 fingers. Choji Akimichi. Choji shook Naruto's hand. You're the 4th son, right? Naruto scowled a little. Yeah, but I'm not the same as him. He was my dad, and I'm me, Naruto declared, his thumb jutting into his chest. Well, pleased to meet you, Naruto. Choji smiled. He angled his chip bag towards the blonde. Chip? Naruto took one. Thanks. He smiled. Naruto sat with the two for a while. He liked Choji a little more than Shikamaru, but that was just because he got to know the Akimichi heir. Shikamaru was more quiet and reserved. At lunch, Naruto decided to try and talk to the shy girl. She looked kind of familiar, but he couldn't place her. Hi, I'm Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki, Naruto said, holding out his hand. The girl Hinata Hyuga went beet red and fainted. Naruto and looked around. Iruka Sensei, he called out. The scarred Chunin rushed over and grabbed Hinata. What happened? He asked. I said hi and she fell over. Naruto said, tears in his eyes. Did I hurt her? No, she'll be fine, Naruto. She's probably just got a cold. Iruka said, why don't you go play? Okay, as long as she's safe, Naruto said, turning around and walking away. Hi, it was the blonde girl from the flowers this morning. I'm Ino Yamanaka. Naruto waved as he took a step back. She was really close. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. Nice to meet Yatabeo? He covered his mouth. Sorry. Ino giggled. Don't worry, it's kind of funny. She said with a smile. Really? His eyes lit up. Yeah, it's like, you can't talk without making a funny noise. Ino said with a laugh. Naruto laughed too. You know my brother Kakashi? Well, he's not my actual brother, but he's like my brother, but he always tells me to keep it in check, because I'd make for a bad ninja. But you like it. Naruto beamed. I think you'll be my new best friend. Naruto hugged Ino. She giggled and hugged him back. Flashback end. The two got to the barbecue place that was owned by Choji's mother. The rest of their group was already waiting there. Shikamaru noticed them first and nodded. Sakura smiled at them, and Choji waved. Hinata turned to see them and gave a quick smile and wave while Shino just waited for them to get to the table. Ino, Naruto. Nice to see you. The Aburame said. You too, Shino. Naruto smiled. Yeah, how've you been? Ino asked. I've been well. He replied. The group ate and laughed while they could. Starting tomorrow, they would be genin and would have little to no time to see each other, unless they ended up on the same team, and even then it would be for work. I'm gonna miss this. Sakura said. I'm probably gonna be with Kiba since he's dead last, but maybe I'll have Naruto on my team too. Nope, team's beating me hard in academics, and we're tied for physical score, so you'll be with him to bail. Naruto said as he ate a piece of meat. I'll end up being with Ino and probably Shino, or maybe one of the other kids. Don't know any of their names. Well, at least I'll have the handsome prodigy on my team. Sakura stuck her tongue out at Naruto. Shino's gonna be on my team, Naruto said, causing the shy Aburame to blush a little and move away slightly. Hey Naruto, are you sure that Ino isn't going to be with Choji and I? Shikamaru asked. Reforming the Ino Shikacho and all. Kakashi said that Gigi is skipping you guys this time. Something about strategy being too well known, not good for war. Naruto said. Being raised by an elite genin and being close to the leader of the village, he got a lot of inside information, not that he was supposed to know that is. Kakashi had taught him to be stealthy a little too well. Why would we be planning for a war? Hinata asked. It's not like there's been an unusual amount of border scouts from other countries lately. How do you know that? Shikamaru asked. Hinata fidgeted a little. My clan is used as border guards quite often because of the Byakugan, and I overheard two Chunin talking about how there was no action with that job. Even so, it's better to be prepared. Shino said, even if we aren't at war currently, there is no doubt in my mind that it could happen any day. Shino's right. Naruto and Shikamaru said at the same time. Naruto motioned for the Nara to go first, and he nodded. Think of our peace treaties with the other villages as a game of shogi. It'll keep going until someone makes a wrong move. Exactly, Naruto said. For all we know, we could be at war tomorrow. IWA and Kumo recently signed an alliance too, so it may be closer than ever. The fact that you of all people knows this much about other villages is kinda scary, Ino said. What's that supposed to mean? Naruto asked. Just that you're the kind of guy who can't pass a simple math quiz, but can somehow sneak into the Hokage's office and read classified reports like it's the easiest thing in the world. Ino said. Nothing's more dangerous than an idiot with knowledge. Shikamaru added lazily. Hey, Naruto shouted, the rest of the group laughing. Databeo. Naruto ran the academy obstacle course. There was currently 2 hours until his final class where he would learn who his teacher and teammates were going to be, and he was a little nervous. I swear if I've got to be with the damn team, I'll snap, he said as he rolled under a volley of shuriken. They were dulled, but they still hurt like hell when you got hit. He jumped onto a log that swayed side to side and ran across, applying chakra to his feet to keep his grip. When he got to the end, he leapt over a large hole in the ground. The fall wasn't deadly, but you could easily break something if you hit the bottom. Naruto landed with a roll before running full speed towards the end of the course. Dulled spikes broke through the ground and nearly impaled Naruto, who landed on the other end of the field of spikes with a roll. That's new, he panted. No, that jutsu's been around forever, Kakashi said, reading his book. Hey, Naruto shouted, you tried to kill me. He threw a kunai at his brother figure, who merely flicked the weapon away. Mama, Naruto, you shouldn't play with sharp toys, you could hurt yourself, Kakashi said, and besides, if I wanted to kill you, I'd just forbid ramen for the rest of your life. Naruto's eyes widened. Don't you dare, he growled. Ma, don't worry. Kakashi waved him off. His tone then got more serious as he said, run it again. Naruto groaned, but went to the beginning and began to run the course again, this time with Kakashi using a few jutsu to try and trip him up. Naruto made it past the first volley of shuriken even though Kakashi doubled the amount. The second volley was laced with fire. The third volley came as Naruto ran over a log. Kakashi used a wind jutsu to increase the speed of the stars, and they nearly knocked Naruto off course. The blonde continued with a renewed burst of speed, dodging the rest of the shuriken and nearing the final obstacle, the swaying log. He jumped onto it and ran full-on towards the end, hoping to finish before Kakashi could attack him again. Too bad Kakashi already knew what he was going to do now. Fire style, flaming hounds, the man shouted, finishing a few hand seals and spewing 3 flaming wolves from his mouth, each one rushing towards Naruto with a vicious growl. The blonde yelped and ran even faster, turning and beginning the seals for the only water jutsu he knew, water style, raging waves. He shot a large stream of water at the wolves, but it was too weak and only managed to douse one. The 2 wolves were about to hit Naruto when a stream of water cut through them. Kakashi, isn't a brank jutsu a little much? Iruka asked. Ma, he would have figured it out. Kakashi waved Iruka off. He really wasn't worried about Naruto getting hurt. The boy was crafty and probably would have figured something out. Naruto, why don't you come into the classroom? There's only a little bit until the team reveals anyways. And I'm sure Kakashi has something better to do than send flaming dogs after you. Iruka said to his student. Not really. Kakashi smirked with his eye. I've got nothing to do for about 3 hours. Iruka was about to say something, but a glare from Kakashi shut him up. We don't want to spoil anything, Kakashi whispered as he took off in a shunshin. Why didn't I learn that in school, Iruka sensei? Naruto asked. Seems like a kick-ass jutsu. No swearing. Iruka scolded as the 2 walked into the class. Databeo. Naruto sat at the back. Ino was beside him and Sakura beside her. Their class, 30 hopeful genin, were seated in the room. Iruka stood in front of the class. His teacher's aide Mizuki stood beside him. The blue-haired Chunin sent a spike of killing intent towards Naruto, who retaliated with a glare. I just want to say that I'll be proud to serve with you all, Iruka said. Most of you have done amazingly well these past 7 years. Others, well, I hope that you pick up your socks because the shinobi world isn't as grand as it is in the fairy tales. It's kill or be killed. Iruka turned to his partner, Mizuki. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Mizuki stepped forwards with a smile. As Iruka said, the shinobi world isn't pretty. You'll eventually be forced to kill, and for those of you who make jonin, some of the kills will be innocent people who made a mistake. The kills will hurt, and if they don't, I ask that you go and see a therapist, maybe even pay to have a Yamanaka do it. Mizuki said, but that's a long ways away. For now, I wish you all the best. Iruka smiled and held up 2 cases. Here I have the rewards for both Male Rookie of the Year and Female Rookie of the Year. He said, each box contains 20 top-quality shuriken and 6 top-quality kunai. Mizuki stepped forwards, holding a list of the male students in the class. Our Male Rookie of the Year was a close call between 2 students, Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Namakazuzumaki. Mizuki said, but ultimately one stood victor. Congratulations, Sasuke Uchiha, Rookie of the Year. Mizuki brought the box to Sasuke, who didn't even look at it. The dope can have it. The ones I have are better, Sasuke said. I don't want your stinking gifts, team, Naruto shouted. Naruto, shush, Ino whispered angrily. Naruto sat down with a huff. Mizuki walked back down and grabbed a list of the girls in the class. For our Female Rookie of the Year, also known as Top Kunoichi, it was a close call as well, between Ino Yamanaka, who displayed excellently in Jinjutsu, Shuriken Jutsu, and academics, and Sakura Haruno, whose academic scores are some of the highest since Minato Namikaze himself, and whose Jinjutsu was top of the class. The award goes to. Mizuki held off on revealing the winner. I'm gonna win, Ino. Sakura stuck her tongue out, only for Ino to pinch it. Sakura Haruno, Mizuki said. The pinkette jumped up and ran to get the box. Thank you, Mizuki-sensei, she said as she ran up to Sasuke. Hey Sasuke-kun, I got Top Kunoichi. That means that we'll be on a team together. How exciting is that? Sasuke glared at her. Can you leave? Oh, yes, sure. Sakura suddenly became interested in her feet as she walked back to her seat. Hey, Tiemi, Naruto shouted. That wasn't called for. Sasuke turned around and glared daggers at Naruto. Listen, Dobe, I don't care about anyone here, least of all someone whose only reason for doing well is impressing me. I have one goal and one goal only, and if you can't help me achieve it, then stay out of my way, Sasuke said. Naruto growled and was about to leap at Sasuke when a kunai hit his desk. Mizuki glared. Sit down. Fine, this isn't over, team, Naruto said to Sasuke. Iruka waited a few moments before stepping up. I have the list for the teams here. Unlike previous years, the teams are not going to be about academy scores, but how well the Hokage feels the team could work. Iruka then began listing off names, mostly civilian students whose names Naruto hadn't learnt. Team 6, Shino Aburame, Sakura Haruno, Kiba Inuzuka under Jonin Kurenai Yui. Iruka said, Really, I'm with Kiba? At least Shino is easy to get along with. And I heard that Kurenai is really good at Jinjutsu. Sakura said. Team 7, Sasuke Uchiha, Ino Yamanaka, Naruto Uzumaki, under Jonin Kakashi Hitaki. Iruka said with a smirk. Isn't that team a little too strong? Shino asked. I understand that they would work well together, but the reason that we are placed together by our scores is to even out the teams, is it not? Very observant, Shino. Iruka said. That is indeed why we made teams like that in the past. However, Hokage-sama feels like this new way to make teams will create stronger teams and a stronger Konoha as a whole. Wait, Naruto shouted. Why would Team and I work well together to Bayo? Naruto, I don't know. You can go ask Hokage-sama on your own time. Iruka sighed. Moving on, Team 9 is still in circulation, so Team 10 is Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, and Hinata Hyuga under Jonin Asuma Sarutobi. Your new teachers should be here shortly. Until then, you have free time, Iruka said as he and Mizuki left the room. Asuma and Kurenai arrived 5 minutes later. Asuma was a tall man with neatly kept black hair and stubble with a smoke in his mouth. He was wearing the standard Jonin gear, but had a white sash with the kanji for fire on his waist. Kurenai was a woman of average height with long black hair that curled towards the ends. She had red eyes and was wearing an armored red blouse with a bandage dress over top. Team 6, I am Kurenai Yuhi, and I will be your sensei from now on, Kurenai said, if you'd follow me. She led Sakura, Kiba, and Shino out of the room. Hey, Asuma Sarutobi. Team 10, I'll be your teacher, come on. He waved and walked out of the room. His team stood and followed. The other Jonin came and grabbed their teams. We're going to be here for a while, Naruto said as he began to practice hand seals. Kakashi is always late. Ino laid her head down. Wake me up when he gets here, she said. Sasuke just sat there, dope. What? Naruto growled as he paced around the room, going through the same seals over and over again. Do you want these? Sasuke asked. I already told you no, Naruto said. I'm not going to use them, Sasuke said. I still don't want them. Mine are high quality too, Naruto replied. I'm not talking about quality. These are better than mine, Sasuke said. I just refuse to use any other than my father's old weapons. Naruto stopped. Was Sasuke being sentimental? Kai. Naruto put his hands in a seal and tried to break the Jinjutsu he was sure he was in, but nothing happened. I'll throw them out if you don't want them, Sasuke said. Why don't you give them to Ino? Naruto asked. You're the only person here I respect, Sasuke said. No one else can actually make me try in a fight. Didn't Choji almost beat you that one time? Naruto joked. But really, Sasuke, don't throw them out, keep them. You don't have to use them, but keep them, just in case. Hey, Kakashi opened the door. Am I late? Just on time, Naruto said with a smile. Ma, I'll see you in an hour then. Kakashi turned and walked out of the room, leaving Naruto slack-jawed. Kakashi, get back here, he shouted. Bell test. Team 7 was sitting on the roof of the academy building. Kakashi watched them sitting there. Sasuke was sitting there stone-faced while Ino and Naruto were waiting for Kakashi to talk. Su, Naruto said, hoping Kakashi would talk. After 30 seconds, Ino stood up, hands on her hips. Why, Kakashi, you gonna talk? Kakashi ignored her. Kakashi, she shouted, stomping her foot. She walked towards him but froze when his eye met hers. A spike of killing intent hit her like a truck. Sasuke grunted, standing up. If you're finished, I'll be leaving. Finally, Kakashi let loose a breath. Sasuke has the most patience. Ino, you have the least. But Naruto talked first. Ino shouted. Naruto pointed at Ino and said, but you do that. Ino slapped his hand away. I do not. Sasuke grunted and sat down. Kakashi just shook his head. See, patience is one of the traits I'll be instilling in you three. The other two being diligence and humility. You three will also begin working as a team starting tomorrow. Kakashi said, I expect you all at training ground 12 by 8 a.m. If you're late, then there will be a punishment. Kakashi said, but before that we'll all have to get to know each other. I already know you and Ino though, Naruto said. As friends, not as teammates. You may know Ino's strengths and weaknesses from class, but does she know yours? Kakashi asked. You know me, but do you know what my weakness is? Do you know what to watch for if you're fighting with me? Your weakness is that orange book in your kunai pouch, Naruto said. In a real fight, that book is nothing, Kakashi said, appearing behind Naruto faster than any of the newly minted genin could see. I'm an S-rank shinobi, former EMBU captain, and I once served as Hokagesame's right hand. Do you really think a book is my weakness? Kakashi whispered, lowering his voice so only Naruto could hear him. Probably, Naruto said. I mean, it's never not in your hands. Even in some spars you have with Geisensei and as Sumisensei it's there. It's a handicap dope, Sasuke said. Kakashi is known as Kakashi of the Sharingan, and everyone knows that it's near impossible to beat my clan's dojutsu. Impressive, Sasuke. I didn't think any genin had read the bingo book. Kakashi said, few things though. First off, it's Kakashi Sensei to you. Secondly, it's not a handicap, it's because I don't want to ruin my nice yard. And thirdly, the Sharingan is far from invincible. Sasuke grunted. Maybe if you knew how to use it. Sasuke crossed his arms. Kakashi shook his head. Well then, we'll go in a circle, pretending we don't know each other, and we'll say our dreams, strengths, weaknesses, likes, dislikes, and hobbies. I'll go first. Kakashi stood to his full height. My dream for the future, don't really know. You're too young to know about my likes and dislikes, and as for hobbies, well, I've got a lot. You're up, Ino. Let's see. My dream is to become a strong kunoichi, at least for now it is. I like a few things, like fashion and flowers. I don't like people who are mean for no reason, and my hobbies are hanging out with my friends and gardening. I'm good at genjutsu and some basic ninjutsu, but I'm not physically the strongest. Sasuke, you're up, Kakashi said. There are tons of things I dislike, don't really like much. My hobbies are training and just training. My dream, it's more an ambition actually, is to kill a certain person. I'm good at basically everything and I don't have any weaknesses. Wow, Ino thought to herself. That may be the most I've ever heard Sasuke say at once. Sasuke's kinda deep. Naruto thought to himself, super arrogant though. Naruto, you're up, Kakashi said. Let's see, my dream is to be Hokage. I like training, playing pranks, ramen, and goofing around with my friends. I don't like stuck-up assholes who think they're better than everyone else. I also dislike anyone who would harm a comrade. A pang of guilt struck Kakashi's spine as his adopted brother said that, hobbies are basically the same as my likes. My biggest strength is ninjutsu. Because of the Kyuubi and my Uzumaki lineage, I have huge natural reserves. I'm good with water style and wind style, but I can only use cranks right now and I need to speed up my hand seals. I'm bad at genjutsu, and my taijutsu style is too unrefined to count as good. Not bad, except for you, Sasuke, Kakashi said. Everyone has a weakness, and as a new genin you'll have more now than ever. Kakashi said, for instance, you've used the same kunai for the past 5 years, and you don't know how to sharpen them without possibly damaging the blade, so you won't risk it. You also get frustrated easily. Like when the Akimichi heir was beating you handily in a spar 2 weeks ago, you nearly used a fire-style jutsu, but were stopped by the chakra constraints in the ring. Kakashi said. You were watching? Sasuke asked. Of course, I had to check if Naruto was lying to me about being good at fighting with kids his age. He barely lasts 3 minutes against me, so I didn't believe him. Kakashi said. Hey, I lasted 5 minutes last time. and you used two jutsu that I couldn't possibly beat," Naruto shouted. "Mama," Kakashi waved him off. "Anyways, I'll see you all tomorrow at training ground 12, 8 a.m. Kakashi waved and disappeared, a swirl of leaves in his place. "I want to learn the Shunshin so badly," Naruto shouted. "Quiet, dope," Sasuke said as he walked towards the stairs. "Hey team, want to come to Ichiraku's?" Naruto asked. "I'm headed there now. It might be good to go as a team." "HN," Sasuke grunted and turned away. "I'll take that as a no," Ino said with a disappointed look. "Let's go, Naruto," she said, leading the way to Naruto's favorite restaurant. Databayo. 8 a.m. came quickly the next morning. Naruto and Sasuke were already there, waiting for her. Ino smiled lightly as she saw the two in a hopefully mock fight, knocking each other back with powerful blows. "Guys," Ino called out, "you might want to calm down. It's almost 8. She called out. Naruto, in his surprise, was hit by Sasuke's punch and erupted into a plume of smoke. "Got you now, Tmi," Naruto shouted. He was at the tree line, going through hand seals, wind style, devastation. Naruto shouted, releasing a large stream of wind from his mouth that sent Sasuke flying to the ground. Naruto then appeared in front of Sasuke, helping him up. "You've gotten better," Sasuke said begrudgingly. "I trained all night." Naruto smiled and rubbed the nape of his neck. "Guys, Kakashi Sensei will be here soon," Ino said. "You shouldn't be wasting your energy." "We won't. Kakashi is gonna be late," Naruto said. "Probably won't be here until 11 or so." He then waved them over. "Here, have some food." He pulled out 3 bento boxes filled with steamed rice, grilled fish, and tsukimono, Japanese pickles. "Thanks," Ino said as she began to devour the box. Naruto might be kinda stupid sometimes, but he was an amazingly talented cook. Sasuke took it hesitantly. He wasn't sure if Naruto's cooking was to be trusted. After all, the dobe could barely do multiplication without getting a headache. He gingerly ate some rice, slightly surprised when he found that it was actually good. He began to eat faster, enjoying the blend of herbs that Naruto used to flavor everything. It took 2 hours for Kakashi to arrive, and he was pleasantly surprised when Naruto was sitting in between Ino and Sasuke and laughing. Though Sasuke didn't seem to participate in the conversation, it was nice to see him sitting beside his teammates and not off in a corner sulking. Kakashi walked up and waved. Ino glared daggers at him. "Kakashi Sensei," she shouted, "you're late." "Mama, I was helping an old lady cross the street, and then there was this black cat, so I had to go across the whole village to make sure I didn't walk past it, bad luck and all," Kakashi said. Naruto snorted. He knew that Kakashi went to the memorial stone to talk to his dead friends, Obito Uchiha and Rin Noara. "You're right, Sensei. You probably got lost cause you were reading porn on the way here." Kakashi waved him off and took out 2 bells. "Anyways, let's get down to business," he said. "I have 2 bells here. There are 3 of you. Whoever gets a bell becomes part of Team 7. Whoever doesn't will go back to the academy. Also, you'll have until 1 p.m. "I thought all Genin teams were 4-man squads," Naruto said. He had never heard of a 3-man team. "The 4th is usually a member of the reserves that is around the age of the others," Kakashi said. Naruto dropped the topic. Kakashi was too good at lying. There was something up, he just had to figure out what. "You guys will have to come at me with the intent to kill, otherwise you'll die," Kakashi said as he disappeared. Sasuke took off into the forest surrounding the training ground. "Ino, we have to stay together. There's no way we'll be able to scratch Kakashi Sensei otherwise," Naruto said, not forgetting what Kakashi told him on the roof yesterday. "We'll need Team 2, Naruto said, running after Sasuke. "Wait up." Ino ran after him. Sasuke was in a tree, watching Kakashi, who was standing in place, reading his orange book. He remembered Naruto saying that the book was his weakness. Sasuke could use that. He palmed 3 shuriken in either hand and jumped over the small clearing Kakashi was in. He moved silently, positioning himself in the perfect spot to strike. Even a seasoned Jonin wouldn't be able to evade this. After all, he was an Uchiha elite. As Sasuke launched the shuriken, Kakashi closed his book and stepped back, his free hand weaving hand seals at an incredible rate. "Fire style, searing heat," Kakashi called out, lazily waving his free hand towards Sasuke. sending an intense wave of heat that made the Uchiha lightheaded. Sasuke fell to the ground from his spot in the tree, but was caught by one of Naruto's shadow clones. Water style, raging waves. Naruto called out, spewing a stream of water towards Kakashi, who sidestepped easily. Now I know. Ino released a flurry of smoke bombs to cover the clone's escape with Sasuke. Naruto grabbed Ino and ran, taking a longer path to the lake, where he would meet up with his clone. When Naruto, Ino, the clone, and Sasuke met up, Sasuke was just waking up. "Hey, team." Naruto waved in front of Sasuke's face as the clone dissipated, no longer being needed. "What happened?" Sasuke groaned as he sat up. "We rescued your sorry ass is what happened," Naruto said. "Now get up, I've got a plan." Sasuke stood up with a glare. Naruto would have to learn his place. But now wasn't the time, because if Sasuke couldn't become a shinobi, then he wouldn't be able to kill him. "I'm listening." Naruto explained the plan to his two teammates, and they nodded, leaping into the trees nearby and suppressing their chakra as much as possible. Naruto stood in front of the lake, waiting for Kakashi to come, like he knew he would. Kakashi walked calmly towards Naruto, appearing from the brush as if he had been there the whole time, which was possible. "I hope that you don't plan to take me on alone, Naruto," Kakashi said. "I was rather impressed with you and Ino earlier." "Well, a Hokage has to stand out. I can't always rely on others," Naruto said with a grin. "Now let me show you how much I've learned." Naruto rushed Kakashi, jumping in the air and creating 3 clones. All 4 Naruto began to attack Kakashi using taijutsu, hoping to get a lucky shot in. Kakashi expertly directed all of Naruto's attacks away from him, not even bothering to dodge. Suddenly, a spike of chakra appeared behind the silver-haired Jonin, and he leapt upwards, evading a fireball the size of a boulder. It flew across the lake, evaporating the water as it went and exploding against a boulder on the other side. Kakashi's eyes widened at the power behind the fire-style jutsu that a Jinin had just sent at him. That might have killed him. Kakashi then felt a Jinjutsu layer over him, but allowed his student Stobe to go along with their plan. He backed up to avoid a kick by Naruto and jumped to avoid a second fireball from Sasuke. As Kakashi was about to land, he heard Ino's voice, "Earth-style wall." He looked down and saw nothing. He realized that that's what the Jinjutsu was for, to hide the place of the wall. Kakashi was about to land when he felt his heel hit the wall and tripped forwards, catching himself with his hand and bouncing upwards, coming face-to-face with Team 7 in all of their glory. Naruto stood in the middle, Sasuke to his right, and Ino to his left. "Kakashi-sensei, we won't lose," Naruto said, punching his palm. Ino nodded and palmed 2 kunai. Sasuke responded the same way. "This might be fun," Kakashi thought to himself as Sasuke ran forwards. Sasuke and Kakashi were engaged in hand-to-hand combat. The Jonin had to admit that Sasuke was good, really good. Wind style, air bullets. Naruto let loose 12 compressed air bullets, nearly hitting Kakashi. As the Jonin dodged, he felt another Jinjutsu, but once again let it happen. He wouldn't be a good teacher if he didn't let his cute little students get away with a few ploys. Kakashi dodged a second flurry of compressed air and saw a fireball flying at him. Kakashi immediately began his hand seals, water style, water wall, he said, using the water from the lake to shield himself. Water style, snake's mouth, Kakashi said, turning the barrier into a large serpent head that flew towards Sasuke. Naruto jumped in front of the jutsu, going through 3 hand seals bore Rambird Gale Surge. He shouted, releasing a wave of wind from his body that cut the water jutsu to shreds. Once the jutsu was finished though, Naruto was panting. Used too much chakra to stop. Kakashi-sensei's jutsu. He panted, before falling over. Sasuke saw Naruto fall and thought of the last time he had seen the blonde pass out. Flashback start. A 6-year-old Sasuke was practicing tree hopping, hoping to catch up to his brother Itachi. As he was jumping from tree to tree, he heard a scream. Sasuke's eyes snapped open. He rushed towards the source of the scream and saw a young Hinata Hyuga, along with 3 kids around Itachi's age. If they're as old as Nizan, then they must be strong, Sasuke thought as he watched the boys push Hinata to the ground. Sasuke balled his fists. He wanted to help, but couldn't. He couldn't bring himself to move. Was this fear? Were Uchiha Elite supposed to feel it? Did Itakinai get scared? Then a loud shout broke Sasuke from his thoughts. I was Naruto, wearing a bright orange jacket with a black swirl on the back and a long red scarf that went down to his feet. Leave Hinata, Alanetabayo, he shouted, jumping over the three older boys and standing guard in front of the Hyuga heiress. Or what? The lead boy said. He knew that Naruto was the fourth Hokage's son, but a twerp was a twerp. The boy had a thick branch in one and was lightly tapping the other with it. Yeah, or what? The other two asked, each ripping off a branch of a nearby tree and mimicking their leader. Naruto just raised his hands to his side, looking the boys right in the face. He took a branch to the face and didn't move. The second branch caused us to step back, and the third hit knocked him to the floor. The boys began beating Naruto with their sticks, laughing. Sasuke was getting angry. He could jump in and beat them. But Naruto was just as strong as he was, and he was getting clobbered. But he also hadn't done anything. Then it clicked. Naruto wasn't fighting back on purpose. They were civilians. Naruto was still a ninja in training, but with his lineage he was probably just as strong as a new Genin already. Just as the lead boy was about to bring his stick down on Naruto's head with both hands, a pulse of chakra shattered the stick. Sasuke looked for the source and saw a Hyuga he didn't recognize, one hand outstretched. The three boys ran away. The Hyuga walked up to the two and helped Hinata up, then picked up Naruto and left, Hinata right beside him. Sasuke looked at Naruto's bruised form. He had gained respect for the blonde that day. Flashback end. Kakashi's eyes widened. Naruto had used a drank jutsu to stop a brank, and a powerful one at that. He was impressed, but also worried. Sasuke ran forwards, nodding slightly towards Ino and hoping she got the idea. He reached for the two bells on Kakashi's waist, finger hooking around them as Kakashi kneed him in the stomach and sent him flying upwards. He looked at his waist and saw one bell missing. Naruto then sprung up, hands in the tiger seal, fire style, flare. He shouted, putting his hands on a surprised Kakashi's vest as his hands lit up with heat. Ino rushed in and grabbed the second bell as Kakashi grabbed Naruto with both hands and flung him away. Ino rolled towards where Sasuke had landed. The bell wasn't in her hand, however. Sasuke had two of them. A smirk appeared on Naruto's face. His plan had worked. We win, Kakashi-sensei, he said. I guess you do, Kakashi said. Turns out babying them wasn't necessary. Let's go register you as official Genin of the Hidden Leaf then, he said, leading them towards the village. Graduation. Naruto was walking about the village. He had the day off from Kakashi-sensei's training because of yesterday's bell test. Ino was apparently starting on clan jutsu with her dad, and all of his other friends had done their tests the first day, meaning that their rest day was yesterday. As he walked through the streets, he heard merchants offering him fresh fruits and calling out to him. While the attention had been nice as a kid, now that he was a little older it felt weird. These people revered him, but what if he failed? If the fox's power leaked out even a little, they could all die. Why weren't they scared of him? Was his father really that amazing that even the legendary Kyuubi no Yoko was fodder compared to his seals? Or was it because they were afraid of him that they glorified him? Naruto shook the thought aside and continued his walk, waving to a few of the villagers, but mostly staying to himself. He could feel eyes on him, the same pair of eyes the entire time. Once he was out of the crowded streets, he spun around and saw a box painted gray with two eye holes. I know you're there, Naruto deadpanned. The rock burst open and a young boy, probably just entering the academy, was there. He was missing one tooth in the middle, which made his smile seem ridiculous. He was wearing a gray helmet with a tuft of hair poking through a hole in the top and a yellow t-shirt. He also had blue shorts and a teal scarf that trailed by his feet. Naruto, the boy shouted, you have been chosen to be my rival. Who are you, kid? Naruto asked. I'm Konohamaru Sarutobi, the boy said, sticking his chest out and poking it with his thumb. Oh, Gigi's grandson, right? The Hokage had told Naruto stories about how his grandson always tried to assassinate him, though it was probably just to try and get the old man to pay attention to him. Konohamaru scowled. Yeah, that's me, he said, his enthusiasm lost. What's wrong? You were so hyper a second ago. You only know me because of my gramps. The boy said, I want to be recognized as my own ninja. I know how you feel. The villagers only know me because of my father, the Yondaime. They compare me to him and expect me to be just like him. But I don't want to. I also want to be my own ninja, Naruto said. Konohamaru's eyes seemed to sparkle. You're pretty cool, he said. Naruto smiled and the two talked for a while about how Konohamaru was only known as honorable grandson and not himself, and how Naruto couldn't go anywhere in the village without people thanking him or telling him how happy they were that he lived there. After a while, Konohamaru decided that Naruto would be his boss, and while Naruto thought it was weird, he wouldn't complain if someone wanted to follow him. All right, Konohamaru, I've got to go now, but be sure to train hard and listen to Iruka Sensei whenever you start the academy. I'll try and make Jonin so that I can be your sensei when you graduate, Naruto said with a smirk. Yeah, for sure, Konohamaru said, a large grin on his face. Naruto ran off with a wave which the young boy returned eagerly. 30 minutes later, Naruto found himself in a familiar training ground. Training Ground 33 was where Kakashi had taught him basically everything and had found his affinity for him. Flashback start. A 10-year-old Naruto stood in the middle of the large field that made up Training Ground 33. It was his birthday today, but instead of going out with his friends, Kakashi had made him come to this place. So he went and waited for hours. It took Kakashi 3 Hulin hours to step into the field, where he found Naruto practicing the substitution jutsu. Kakashi shook his head. It was just like Naruto to be training. Yo, the white-haired Jonin. Kakashi, hey. Naruto spun around. So what am I learning today? We're going to test your chakra nature. The Jonin said, I know that you aren't supposed to learn this until you make Chunin, but you're talented enough to start now. Kakashi didn't want the boy to know that it was only because of his father that he was learning this early. So I'll get to learn some kick-ass jutsu? Naruto asked. Kakashi shook his head. Not just yet. He saw the excitement drain out of Naruto's face and quickly added, You'll start on your way to learning them, though. Naruto's smile came back instantly. So what do I have to do? He asked. Kakashi removed a piece of paper from his kunai pouch. Just channel some chakra into this. Naruto took the paper and channeled his chakra into it. The paper crinkled slightly, crumbled at the edges, burned a little, got soggy in the middle, and then was ripped to shreds. What does that mean? Naruto asked. It means that you have minor affinities for earth, lightning, water, and fire, and an extremely powerful affinity for wind. Kakashi said. He was impressed. Even the Hokage didn't have minor affinities for everything at the age of 10. He had to work on that himself after he mastered his major affinity. So I can do all of the jutsu? Naruto asked. In a sense, unless it's a Kekkai Genkai or Hijitsu. Kakashi said, we'll work on your wind first, with water after that and fire after that. Then you can choose what to learn on your own. Sweet, let's start. Naruto shouted. He and Kakashi immediately started training, learning the wind style, blast jutsu, and E-rank wind style jutsu that didn't have much use other than training a person's affinity. Flashback end. Naruto shook his head. He looked down and covered his hand in electricity. He had learned an E-rank jutsu of each nature, but hadn't even begun to master them. He was obviously best at wind style, with water style coming in a close second. Once he was proficient in both, he was going to start on lightning and fire style, saving earth style for last. Naruto looked at the trees surrounding the clearing. The trees in Fire Country were huge, with the tallest being over 400 feet tall and thick enough to fit a house. Dragon, tiger, hair water style raging waves. Naruto fired a stream of water into a medium-sized tree about 70 feet tall with a 10-foot diameter. The stream pierced the bark and dug into the tree about half a foot. Not good enough. Naruto continued his assault, taking another 14, tried to get through the center. Naruto turned towards another tree and blasted a jet of water from his mouth again. Naruto stood in the center of Training Ground 7, tapping his foot. Would you stop that? Sasuke asked, looking up from a scroll he was reading. Naruto stopped for a second. Would you stop that? The blonde mocked, then started tapping his foot once more. Sasuke rolled up his scroll and stood up, walking further away to a tree on the edge of the clearing. Naruto's eyes lit up as he saw an opportunity to practice his earth manipulation. He focused his chakra into the ground and sent a line towards Sasuke. creating a large circle around the boy about a foot deep. Earth-style, pit trap, he whispered, sending the intent to rip open through the ground. And it worked. A little. There had been a small indent right under Sasuke, but not big enough to bother the Uchiha. Too much. Dope. Try again, and I'll kick your ass. Sasuke glared at Naruto. Try it, team. You'd last maybe a minute. Naruto responded, holding up a single finger as if to validate his statement. Sasuke stood up, rolling his scroll and placing it in his kunai pouch. He flicked his wrists and a kunai was in either hand instantly. Naruto slipped into his favorite taijutsu stance and eyed his teammate. It wasn't even a week ago that the three of them worked like a well-oiled machine and managed to take Kakashi by surprise even if the Jonin was holding back. A lot it still took some semblance of camaraderie to do something like that. A mental head shake got Naruto's thoughts into the present. He could think about the puzzle that was Sasuke Uchiha after he kicked said puzzle to next Tuesday. Naruto. Ino's shriek echoed through the clearing. The blonde angrily stormed in between the boys and looked him dead in the eyes. You'd best stop this nonsense. Now, Kakashi Sensei is going to be here in 15 minutes, and I'm not. I repeat, not going to do punishment laps again, because you two are too prissy to admit that you're friends. We aren't friends. He's annoying, and I'm going to kick his ass. Sasuke said matter-of-factly. You're right, team. We just went through this. I'm stronger. Naruto said, poking his head from around Ino to glare at Sasuke. Ino huffed, threw her arms up and let them flail down, and stomped away while muttering to herself about testosterone and assholes. Naruto made a mental note to apologize later. Right now he had a fight to win. Mama, what do we have here? Kakashi's voice rang out. I thought I told you two no more fighting. Sasuke's eyes widened, and he sighed, moving to the edge of the clearing and started jogging. Best to take the punishment without complaints. I'm not doing the punishment run, Naruto said with crossed arms. He started it. Who's the one who tried to open a pit trap? Kakashi asked with a raised eyebrow. Naruto failed at suppressing his smirk. It wasn't malicious. Wrong word. I didn't try and be mean. I was testing to see if he had situational awareness. Naruto said with a nod, as if proud of his excuse. Double laps. Kakashi said. Naruto's jaw hit the floor. Why? Because you suck at lying. Sensei, Naruto shouted, holding a flailing brown cat 3 sizes too big in his arms. I demand a crank. We've been doing this for a month now, and I'm sick and tired of catching this damned cat every other day. Kakashi smirked, though none of the 3 gathered genin could see. Over the month his team had completed 42 drank missions, 2 each weekday. 1 in the morning, followed by teamwork training, which worked wonders for Sasuke, after which came lunch and the second drank. After the mission, they'd spent 2 hours working on one of the 3 core shinobi skills. Monday and Wednesday were spent working on taijutsu. Kakashi would create 2 clones and help the genin develop a taijutsu style that would match their strengths. Ino began learning the serpent style. Sasuke learned an A and BU style that focused on ending the fight as fast as possible. And Naruto was learning Minato's patented Hiraishin style, though it was quite hard for the blonde to do without knowing the Hiraishin himself. Tuesdays were for ninjutsu, or gaining mastery over the few they had at their disposal at least. Thursday was Jinjutsu Day. Naruto worked on breaking Jinjutsu, as he had nowhere near enough control to use them, while Ino and Sasuke learned new Jinjutsu or worked on mastery of their existing repertoire. Fridays were spent on each genin's chosen specialization. Ino had chosen 2, medical ninjutsu and sensory abilities. Naruto had chosen infiltration, and Sasuke had chosen assassination. All right, Naruto, let's go ask Hokage-sama if we can have a crank, the Jonin said. Naruto's eyes lit up. Really? Yup. What are we waiting for then? Ino spoke up. We can finally leave the village, she said, bouncing slightly. Sasuke's eyes held excitement as well, which was a rare sight. All right, we'll go right after lunch, Kakashi said. Last one there is paying, he said, vanishing in a swirl of leaves. Naruto smirked and pulled out 3 bento boxes. I guess he's paying. Let's go to the park by the tower, he said, leading the way to the park. Databeo. Tazuna was a grumpy man. He berated Naruto and Ino for their blonde hair and brashness, though the gray-haired man was no better in the brashness department. Especially when drunk, though, he seemed to like Sasuke, for whatever reason. I thought I hired some super ninja, not a bunch of brats. Tazuna slurred as he took another large drink from his bottle. He then pointed at Naruto. I mean, look at this kid, he's barely at my waist. What could he do against another ninja? Kakashi furrowed his brow at this, but said nothing. His genin would catch on. It's a crank. We don't have to deal with other ninja. Sasuke huffed, unless you're lying to us. His eyes darkened. Tazuna instantly sobered up at this, furthering Kakashi's doubts that this was a simple crank. Things were never that easy for any of Team 7's incarnations. Oh, of course I didn't lie. But there's always a chance that we meet other ninja, isn't there? The bridge builder stammered. Ino and Naruto locked eyes, and the Yamanaka heiress nodded. Let's just drop it. Who cares? Naruto said, I'm plenty strong enough as is. I don't need to prove myself to a drunk. Ino subtly took a step closer to Tazuna as they walked. Kakashi, who stood at the back, noticed this and sighed. Ino, Kakashi said, voice noticeably stern, can you tell me why Tazuna hired ninja from the Leaf instead of from Wave? Ino stepped away from Tazuna. Kakashi had noticed her plan, it seemed, because Wave doesn't have a ninja corps and we're the closest to them other than the Hidden Mist. But they're in the middle of a civil war currently. Very good, Kakashi said. After another few minutes, they walked by a puddle, and Ino immediately turned to Kakashi, who nodded subtly. Ino stopped, causing the other two genin to stop as well. A shout of pain erupted from Kakashi, who had been wrapped up in a chain and squeezed, leaving nothing left except for a splash of red liquid. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto fell to his knees. Standing there were two ninja dressed in black. The one on the left had unkempt shoulder-length brown hair, a rebreather on his face, and a large metal gauntlet presumably poisonous on his right hand. The other ninja had the same color hair, though his was straight as. He was wearing the same outfit, though his gauntlet was on the left hand. In between the two metal gauntlets was the chain that had killed Kakashi. Naruto. The blonde was brought from his stupor by Ino's shout. He looked towards the two and knew that he had to dodge, but had no time to react as the chain slammed into his stomach less than a second later, knocking the breath out of him. Before the two could wrap Naruto in the chain, Sasuke acted, throwing a kunai into one of the links and digging it into the ground. Though this did cause the blades to be ripped from Naruto's stomach, which was left bleeding from the puncture holes. The two missing nin detached their claws, and the one with shaggy hair ran towards Sasuke, while the one with straight hair turned to Ino. Hey, they think I'm down. Kyuubi should heal this in no time, Naruto thought. As the second ninja reached Ino, Naruto leapt up and threw a kunai into the back of his head, dropping him. Sasuke ducked under a jab from the large claw, sweeping his opponent's legs out from underneath as he did. The Uchiha then leapt upwards and quickly went through the hand seals for his family's signature jutsu, fire style, Great Fireball Jutsu. He shouted, exhaling a large ball of flames that engulfed the man, leaving a charred corpse. Sasuke landed and couldn't move. He could only stare at his fallen opponent. I killed him, Sasuke managed to mutter, not reacting in the slightest when a firm hand squeezed his shoulder. Well done, Sasuke. You've taken one step closer to Itachi, the deep voice said. Sasuke ignored it. The shadow that spoke was nothing new, not since the night of the massacre. It was there always, most of the time silent and observing, but whenever Sasuke reached a new milestone in his shinobi career, the voice spoke of Itachi. Good job, Sasuke. I know how hard a first kill is. Kakashi's voice came, snapping Sasuke from his shock. He's dead, was all the prodigy managed. I'll give you a few minutes, but we'll need to go back to Konoha, Kakashi said. Seems the parameters were wrong. This is at least a rank mission now. Please, Tazuna shouted. I need your help. I didn't want to lie, but Wave doesn't have enough money to pay for an A rank. It's policy, I'm afraid. We'll have to turn back and head to Konoha, Kakashi said. Let's hear him out, Naruto said. Thank you, Tazuna said. You see this man, Gato, he's take control of Wave Country, completely stopping outgoing and incoming business by stopping us from fishing. This bridge I'm working on is our last chance. The country is living in a state of poverty. The dead pile up each day. Please, I have a family. My daughter and grandson need this bridge. My country needs this bridge. I'm going to help, Naruto said, Kakashi sensei, you can bring the other two back if you want, but I won't go with you. Kakashi sighed and summoned a small white dog, quickly scribbling a note and sending it off towards the leaf. Let's get going then. Hopefully reinforcements arrive before it's too late. The silver-haired Jonin hoped for the first time that guy wasn't on a mission. Databeo. The next few days were uneventful. They were in water country now, and only 2 days from wave. Kakashi hadn't received a response to his message yet, but they continued on. So we're going to see the ocean, huh? Ino mused as they walked. There was a large lake to their left, with a sprawling forest on their left. Ino was on the left side of Tazuna, with Naruto on the right. Sasuke walked ahead of them, eyes peeled for any enemies. Duck! Ino shouted, jumping and taking down both Tazuna and Naruto before rolling into a crouch with a kunai in either hand. A large blade was halfway into the tree with a large man on top of it. The man, obviously a ninja, was tall and muscular. His light gray skin and black hair stood out against the pristine white bandages he wore around his face like a scarf, hiding up to his nose. He wore a black one-piece suit with a pair of cobalt leg warmers. On his head was a tilted forehead protector. Zabuza Momochi, demon of the hidden mist. Kakashi said, locking eyes with the ninja, a rank missing nin from Kirigakure. Ah, Kakashi Hitaki, the copy ninja. Zabuza said, stepping down from his sword and pulling it from the tree, causing the massive log to fall over with a crash. You three guard Tazuna, I'll handle him, Kakashi said, lifting his forehead protector and revealing a red eye with 3 black asterisks. The beginning of the battle was faster than the Genin could keep up with. Trees shook and clangs of metal on metal rang out through the clearing. Bursts of wind buffeted the Genin, and suddenly the lake exploded, a large pillar of water erupting from the center. Then Zabuza was in front of the Genin, blade flying through the air towards them. Shadow Clone Jutsu, Naruto shouted, creating a dozen clones that jumped at the blade with kunai drawn, slowing it just enough for the blonde to push Tazuna to the ground before the blade passed through every clone and ripped into his arm, slashing the bone in half. Naruto screamed in pain, holding his left arm which hung on by tendrils of muscle. Sasuke jumped at Zabuza, fire style, phoenix flower. A dozen fireballs slammed into the Jonin and caused him to melt into a puddle of water. It was a water clone, Ino shouted, kneeling over Naruto and healing his wound though progress was slow. She looked around and saw the real Zabuza holding Kakashi in a ball of water in the middle of the lake. Ino, stop. Defend Tazuna, Naruto said, his eyes full of determination. Team, you and I are going to save my brother, he said, crimson chakra swirling around his wound and closing it instantly. Sasuke nodded, eyes not leaving the spot where the wound had been, not that you'd ever know for there wasn't even a mark. A shiver ran through the Uchiha as he realized how powerful the Kyuubi truly was. A career-ending wound closed in less than a second and not a scar left behind. How powerful was Minato that he faced that thing alone and managed to seal it? How strong was Itachi, who was likened to being on the same level? With a nod from Naruto, Ino ran through hand seals and connected the minds of all of Squad 7. All right, team, here's the plan. Naruto sent thoughts into Sasuke's mind, and Kakashi smirked a bit. He raised a good ninja. Naruto ran forwards, throwing shuriken and kunai towards Zabuza, who raised a wall of water to block them. Sasuke shot off 2 consecutive fireballs, creating a wall of steam. Suddenly Zabuza's eyes widened, and he ducked, a windmill shuriken zooming past his face. Out the corner of his eye he saw a second shuriken and jumped over it. He turned to the Genin and laughed. It was a good try, would have gotten a lesser ninja. He called out. Then he noticed Naruto wasn't there. His eyes widened and he ducked, his hand leaving the water prison that held Kakashi as a kick split the air over his head. Fire style, great fireball jutsu, Kakashi shouted, a large fireball slamming into Zabuza's side and sending him flying away, skidding onto the field near Ino and Sasuke. Sasuke threw 2 kunai at the rolling ninja, though they were blocked by 2 needles that flew from the nearby brush. The Uchiha spun to look at the thrower and found a girl wearing a blue kimono and a Mist Hunter ninja mask. Shit, Naruto, Kakashi sensei, we have an issue, Sasuke shouted. The two were beside Sasuke in a second, the three of them facing the two mist ninja. I wish you no harm. Just allow me to take Zabuza away. The girl said. Not gonna happen. Kakashi said. He's a dangerous opponent I'd rather not deal with later. The girl shook her head. I will ask one more time. She said, I came here to tell my master that we are no longer to eliminate the bridge builder. What do you mean? Zabuza questioned the masked ninja. Gato has hired another ninja to eliminate us. His price is much lower than ours apparently. Damn it. Haku, how did you figure this out? Zabuza asked. I overheard Gato speaking with the other hired nin. Haku responded. Zabuza growled. Did he look familiar? Haku hung her head. No, but apparently he is an S-rank missing nin. Zabuza stood up. There aren't too many S-rankers, and none that I know of who'll go for a low price without some ulterior motive. He turned to Kakashi. Well, I have no reason to fight you now. If you'd like to continue though, I wouldn't mind slicing you up. Kakashi waved his hand. Now I think I'm okay. But if you'd like to help us defend the bridge builder here, I'm sure he wouldn't mind paying you for your troubles. Tazuna paled at this while Ino and Naruto grinned. A sly expression crossed Zabuza's face. I wouldn't mind. The journey to Wave after Zabuza joined them was easygoing. Haku was a rather pretty girl with straight black hair and a kind face, though it was slightly emotionless at times. They reached Tazuna's home and met his daughter Tsunami, a beautiful woman of 30-something with straight black hair, and grandson Inari, an 8-year-old boy whose shaggy black hair was hidden by a bucket hat. The night they arrived while Tsunami was making dinner, Inari confronted the Leaf Ninja, shouting at them that they were stupid for going against Gato, and then running off. What's his problem? Sasuke asked. He should be happy that we're helping his village. Gato killed his father. Tsunami said, well, adopted father. Kaiza was a man who saved Inari from drowning. When Inari brought him home, it was love at first sight. He was Inari's biggest role model, but when Gato arrived and began his takeover, Kaiza stood up for the village and had his arms cut off in front of everybody. Gato then had him killed. Tsunami had tears in her eyes. Inari hasn't been the same since. Naruto looked down. I get it. He stood up and followed after the young boy. Tsunami went to stop him, but Haku stood up. I'll go get him. Please stay and enjoy your food, she said, following after Naruto. Kakashi nodded at her, and Tsunami sat down. Trust them, they know what they're doing, he said. Naruto opened up the door to Inari's room. He saw the boy crying on the bed. Hey. The blonde walked up to the bed and sat down beside him, placing a hand on his back. I don't know what it's like to lose a father, but I do know that how you're acting wouldn't make yours proud. What do you know? Inari shouted at Naruto, turning to face him. My dad died sacrificing himself to defeat a demon fox. On the day I was born, Naruto said, I never knew him or my mother. It was Kakashi who raised me. But every day I wake up and decide to make them proud by doing at least one thing that they would do. He jammed his thumb into his chest. That's why I decided to become a ninja, and why I'm going to be Hokage, the leader of my village. Inari's tears stopped. Yes, what Naruto says is true. Your father wouldn't be proud of the person you've become. Haku's voice came from the doorway. She stepped into the room and closed the door. He died protecting what was precious to him, and here you, his legacy, are crying like a baby instead of honoring him. Inari shot up and jumped towards Haku, but was grabbed by Naruto. Calm down, she's not trying to be mean, he said. As I was saying, Haku continued, you should be following his example. Stand up for your village. Don't give in to Gato's tyranny. Inari was left alone as the two ninja went back to the dining room to eat. Databeo. Kakashi watched over Tazuna's efforts to build the bridge. On a beach about 2 kilometers away, Zabuza was training the genin, teaching them water walking. Look, brat, you're not using enough chakra, he yelled at Ino. And you aren't keeping your chakra levels stable, he shouted towards Sasuke. Suddenly there was an eruption of water and Naruto flew into the air. Hey dummy, wait, too much chakra, he shouted. Honestly, how'd I get stuck with this job? It's because you aren't trustworthy enough to watch Tazuna. Haku chimed in, a strange smile on her face. Zabuza grunted and walked off. An hour passed, and Ino was finally able to walk on water near perfectly. Sasuke and Naruto were both coming along incredibly well also. able to walk on water while concentrating. The brats aren't too bad. Zabuza mused to himself. Haku tilted her head slightly and smiled. Damn team, I'm gonna get this before him. Naruto thought to himself, glaring at Sasuke, who was doing better than he was. Sasuke in turn glared at Naruto. He's doing well. It's strange that a non-Uchiha can keep up with me. He is the son of a Hokage though, so I guess it's not impossible, but he won't get it before I do. Ino has much less chakra, so it's understandable, but I can't lose to Naruto. Zabuza grinned as he watched Jinin push themselves to start running on the water, and was surprised when neither of them fell through or blasted upwards, but were running perfectly. Suddenly, there was a clash of steel as two kunai slammed into each other, Naruto on one side while Sasuke was on the other. Water rippled under them as they jumped back, with Naruto plunging one of his feet into the water before using his other foot to pull himself up. Naruto spun 3 hand signs, Dragon Tiger Hair Water Style, Raging Waves. Naruto spat out a stream of water towards Sasuke. Kid's got some power behind that. Probably not used to using water-style jutsu around a large source. Haku. Zabuza shouted at his protege. Yes. Haku slammed her hands onto the water. Ice-style, frozen wall. The water underneath Haku's hands froze instantly. The ice spread out towards the boys and rose up into a wall, blocking Naruto's stream, though it did manage to drill into it a bit. Impressive. Managing to break Haku's ice, even a little bit, is impressive. I've met Chunin who couldn't even chip it. That's enough. Zabuza shouted, I didn't agree to train some brats. I'm training ninja weapons. You are here to be sharpened, not tested. He spun around his large sword, slamming it down onto the ground, creating a large crater a foot away. Subtle use of earth style to scare us. Not gonna work, unfortunately. Sasuke thought to himself. Naruto walked back to the beach. I don't get the point of this. We should be learning how to fight more, not walk on water. Zabuza slapped Naruto away, sending the blonde flying back onto the water. Sasuke moved to catch him, but with a growl Naruto blasted chakra from his hand to flip himself, landing on the water with both feet and sliding back another 10 feet. Naruto's pupil slit, and he growled, Sasuke, Ino, how's about we show Zabuza just how much we've been sharpened? He asked, voice slightly deeper than usual. A subtle darkness wrapped around him like a shadowy cloak. The water underneath him turned from a beautiful clear to an eerie dark blue. I'm not sure about this, Naruto. Why don't you calm down a bit? Ino asked, moving towards her longtime friend hesitantly. She had only seen him like this once before, when Kakashi hadn't returned from a mission on time. Flashback start. A 9-year-old Ino ran from the academy doors as soon as the last bell rang. Naruto hadn't shown up in 3 days now, and she was worried. Ino ran all the way to the other side of Konoha, towards Kakashi's apartment. It took her exactly 15 minutes to reach her friend's house. When she got there, she knocked and waited. Nothing. Knock, knock. Nothing. Knock, 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 knock. Nothing. Ino then took a couple steps back and ran at the door, slamming her shoulder into it as hard as she could, but then bouncing off and skidding backwards. She hit the ground with a shout of pain. Ino? Choji was walking by with Shikamaru. Choji, Shika, I need help. Ino was crying. I was worried about Naruto because he hadn't been at school, so I came here and I knocked and headed Tansaran so I tried to bring the door, but now I'm really hurting, no tansering, and instead thought some mething happened. Can you please help me? She cried. Shikamaru went and put a hand on her shoulder. Don't worry. We came here for the same reason. Luckily, Choji has started to learn his clan jutsu. Shikamaru nodded at Choji, who closed his bag of chips and walked towards the door. The tubby boy pulled his arm back and opened his eyes wide, revealing the chestnut coloring, partial expansion jutsu. He shouted as he swung his fist towards the door, his entire arm blowing up to 3 times its original size, sending the door flying into the house and hitting the far wall. Shikamaru stood up and patted Ino's shoulder, walking up to Choji and doing the same. Doors open, he said, walking in with the other 2 following him. As soon as they passed the threshold, however, Ino fell to her knees, a dark presence overwhelming her. Her head began to pound, and she cried out in pain. What do you want? A voice came from somewhere in the house. Naruto? Shikamaru asked as Choji went to comfort Ino. It's us, Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino. We came to check up on you. Leave, the voice said. Naruto stepped to the edge of the darkness, revealing a snarling face. His whisker marks were darker, his eyes were slit, and instead of blue were a deep crimson. Without hesitation, he roared, "I said leave." His voice seemed to have presence, as the entranceway shook violently. Shikamaru placed his hands in a seal. "Naruto, what's wrong?" he asked, purposely leaving out the "with you" from the sentence, hoping to not upset his friend. "Naruto, whatever you're doing, stop. It's hurting Ino," Choji shouted. Naruto's eyes slowly turned blue again as the red seemed to seep into his pupils. His whisker marks returned to normal, and the darkness seemed lighter. The pressure that Ino felt was lifted slightly. "Naruto, what's wrong?" Ino asked, slowly standing up and cautiously making her way towards Naruto. "Kakashi hasn't come back yet. He was supposed to be back last week," Naruto said. "Anko told me not to expect anything good." Ino ran forwards and wrapped her arms around her friend. "Oh, Naruto," she cried. Shikamaru and Choji stood and watched as the entire house lit up while Ino held Naruto. His pupils returned to normal. The blonde wrapped his arms around Ino and cried. Flashback end. "Fine, I'll do it myself," Naruto growled. Running forwards, he put so much chakra into each step that all the water underneath him flew upwards. "I've had enough of your shitty attitude, Zabuza," he roared, his whisker marks darkening. Kakashi turned towards his adopted brother as he felt the ominous presence from that day, nearly 13 days ago. He quickly made a shadow clone and suddenly appeared in front of Naruto, kicking the 12-year-old in the face and sending him skidding away. "You three go guard the bridge builder," Kakashi ordered, pointing to Haku, Ino, and Sasuke. "Zabuza, you're with me." Everyone nodded except Zabuza. "I can take the brat myself," Zabuza said. "No, you can't." Kakashi turned to him. "He's tapping into the Nine Tails." Zabuza's eyes widened. "That brat?" Kakashi was about to say something, but was forced to jump away as Naruto's fist slammed into the water underneath, creating a large wave on all sides. "Rap boar, bird water style, water dragon jutsu," Zabuza shouted, shaping the waves into 4 large serpentine dragons which wrapped around Naruto, squeezing him. "I don't want to kill him, but he needs to be subdued. He's too likely to lose control right now." Kakashi grabbed his right wrist and ran forwards. Grabbing one of the water dragons, he shouted, "Electric jolt," and sent a small burst of electricity through the 4 dragons, shocking Naruto. A roar erupted from Naruto's throat as a wave of chakra poured out of him, eviscerating Zabuza's dragons. "What's making him like this?" Kakashi wondered. Naruto was hot-headed, yes, and he did let his temper go easily, but he wasn't one to get frustrated with teachers when they stopped him from doing something. "My dragons." Zabuza's eyes widened. Haku, a bona fide Jonin-level ninja, had never managed to stop even one of his water dragons. Yet this green Jinin managed to destroy 4 with a shout. Even with a tail beast power-up, that was impressive. "Really, Kakashi, you're going to try me?" Naruto growled out, appearing before Kakashi and swung with a kick, though Kakashi blocked it, not without a wince of pain, however. "Naruto, I know you're in there," Kakashi said, grabbing Naruto's leg and throwing the boy upwards, kicking at him, and sending him skidding along the water surface for a good 30 feet. "Water style, great waterfall jutsu," Zabuza shouted, a blue aura of chakra around him as he did. Suddenly, a large portion of nearby water was spinning, like a sideways cyclone, and propelled itself towards Naruto. Naruto inhaled deeply, closing his eyes. The water underneath him was getting choppy, and he was liable to lose his balance. "Wind style." Vulpine shout. Naruto exhaled a large quantity of wind. Crashing into the large cyclone, the 2 techniques created a huge explosion, sending the water in a 4-direction tidal wave. Kakashi rushed to catch Naruto as Zabuza clasped his hands together, willing the water to calm itself, his blue shroud of chakra growing larger and larger as he did. Kakashi caught Naruto, who was no longer under the Kyuubi's control. "I really hope reinforcements arrive soon." He looked towards the water and saw that Zabuza had managed to calm it, though the man looked strained. "Zabuza, go get some rest. I'll send Sasuke to help you guard Tsunami and Inari now that Naruto's shadow clones are dispelled," Kakashi said. Zabuza didn't have the energy to argue, so he just flipped Kakashi off. Databeo. That wasn't smart. A man in a black robe adorned with red clouds said, I asked for proof that Namikaze was a Jinchuriki, not for him to nearly die in a fight with two Jonin. The other man, who was wearing a black mask with two vertical green stripes over the eyes, stepped back. I proved that the brat was a demon. That's what you asked. Now you do your part and kill him. The man in the robe turned around and left the dark room. Don't worry. I plan to take out Namikaze Naruto anyways. He could be a threat. As the door closed, the masked man fell to his knees. A slash appeared on his throat. Blood pooled out. Databeo. A couple days passed. Naruto and Sasuke had both mastered the water walking exercise, and Ino had been training in taijutsu with Haku. Zabuza was still suffering from chakra exhaustion and resting while looking after Tsunami and Inari. Naruto, Sasuke, come and guard Tazuna. Kakashi yelled from the bridge to the water below. Naruto grumbled something under his breath and ran up one of the legs of the bridge. Sasuke walked up calmly. I'll be back soon, just need to investigate something. If anything happens, just take Tazuna and run. Make sure Ino and Haku are with you. The Jonin said before flashing away. Man, I want to learn the Shunshin Jutsu Databeo. Naruto shouted. Dope, make some shadow clones. Sasuke ordered. Why should I listen to you? Naruto asked. I'm clearly team leader, so I call the shots. Ino suddenly appeared on the bridge, Haku following suit. Naruto listened to Sasuke. His blonde friend said, I sense 4 chakra signatures. One of them rivals Kakashi Sensei. Naruto immediately put his business face on, crossing his fingers and creating 30 shadow clones. Sasuke, you and Ino take Tazuna and run. Haku, you're with me, he said, drawing a kunai in either hand. YSH. A boy Naruto's age appeared on the bridge, sweat dripping down from his abnormally large caterpillar-shaped eyebrows. His black hair was styled in a bowl cut, and he was wearing a green jumpsuit with orange leg warmers and a red leaf forehead protector around his waist. I beat Geizensei to the bridge. Geizensei? Naruto asked himself, you mean my guy? Leaf Jonin. The boy turned to him. Yes, the youthful Geizensei. I am a member of his Genin squad, Team 9. Lee. A female voice shouted. She appeared on the bridge just after shouting at Lee. She had brown hair tied in 2 buns and brown eyes. She was wearing a cheapao blouse and blue pants. Her blue forehead protector matched her sandals. There was a large pouch on her right thigh. Geizensei told us that there could be enemy ninja. Lee laughed. Oh, Tintin, these are fellow Leaf Nin. Why would I be worried? The girl, Tintin, slammed her face into her hands. Why did I get stuck with him? Suddenly, 2 more ninja appeared. One of them looked like a grown-up Lee, except he was wearing a flak jacket. The other was a Hyuga, as evident by his colorless eyes. His black hair went down to his mid-back. He wore a beige sleeveless coat and black pants. His right arm and leg were covered with bandages. His black forehead protector had 2 straps hanging off the sides to frame his face. Geizensei. Naruto greeted the large man. I didn't know you guys were coming. Naruto. Guy greeted the boy by clasping his shoulder. Kakashi asked for help from a more experienced squad, so here we are. The Hyuga has to be Hinata's cousin Niji. She's told me a lot about him. Apparently, he's really strong. Ino thought, we could use your help actually. Apparently Gato hired an S-rank missing Nin to take out Tazuna before he finishes the bridge. It's our mission to guard him until then. Ino told the Jonin.